Hi friends, there are 3 upgrades you can get your hands on for the MK2 Wonder Weapon on Shattered Veil in Black Ops 6 Zombies via some special Easter eggs. So here's a quick and easy guide on how you can get each of them. Before you start the upgrades, of course you need the base MK2. There is an Easter egg you can do to get it for free, and it's pretty easy to do. We do have a separate video with more details. So now you've got the base version, you're ready to start your upgrade journey. There are 3 variants like I mentioned, the W, the P and the R variants, each giving you some very cool and slightly different effects to that Wonder Weapon. Now to get the upgrades, they each have their own Easter egg, but before that you'll need an empty canister. There are a few different ways I'm going to cover for you to get this empty canister. The first one I found personally the easiest is simply looking for the blue crystals and shooting them. The first you can find in the service tunnel after you're getting your base. If you run out and then look up, just shoot it with your MK2, and if that doesn't drop the canister, then go check out the second place, which is the southwest balcony. Again, look up towards the roof and shoot it with your MK2. If it doesn't drop it, then you can head across to the conservatory. Again, go to the lower part and look up, shoot it with your MK2. And if that doesn't drop the canister, then finally head across to the east foyer. If you go to the bottom there and then look up where the stairs are, you should see another blue crystal you can shoot, and that will hopefully give you the empty canister if you haven't got it by now. After that, you're ready to go and start the Easter egg. We'll go with the R variant first, which is the toxic variant, just personally because I think it's the weakest variant, but also it's in quite a tight space, so ideally you want to do this in one of the lower rounds. Before you head to where you need to go to start the Easter egg, you actually need to go and pick up these seeds, and you can either do that by using your MK2 base or an explosive like a Semtex on these plants. Now the plants themselves are in certain locations, but where they spawn in the locations can change very slightly across your different games and even in the different rounds. So head to each of these locations and test it out on the plants that you find there. You can go to the west balcony, most of these will be on the floor locations or around other plants. The southwest balcony also can spawn this one. There's a few different areas around to have a good look around. The rear patio is pretty good. The motor court's another good place. I found it just to the left of where the crafting table is. There are a few different places here it can spawn, so have a look around. If you go towards where the fountain is in conservatory, it tends to spawn either side of the fountain. You can also go to where the bridge is in garden pond, and it can kind of spawn anywhere around that area. You can see I found one in the right corner there. So once you've found and destroyed 4 of them and got 4 seeds, you can head across to the conservatory. Now once you get to the conservatory, you'll need to plant the seeds in each of the planters and defend it until it grows. It's obviously easiest to do one at a time, and like I said before, it can be quite a tight area with lots of zombies running towards you, so ideally you want to have a fairly good armor, and a pack-a-punch weapon of course helps. Because you've got 4 seeds, you'll need to repeat this process 3 more times once you've completed the first one, and they all work the same way. Just find the planters around the conservatory, interact with it to drop the seed in, and then defend it until it's fully grown. At that point you can go back to where you placed the empty canister, and it should now be a toxic canister which you can take to the workbench in the garden pond, and this will give you your ray gun MK2 R variant. So that's your first variant. You will need another empty canister, you can't use the one you found earlier. So to do this, I recommend going to the double tap machine, have a look at the window beneath where the zombies come from, just below the double tap machine, and what you'll need to do is throw a Casimir just in front of that window or around that window. If you throw it into it, it just gives it back to you, so don't throw it actually inside, but essentially once it finishes doing its Casimir thing, it should pull out an empty canister. Now you've got an empty canister, you can head to start your MK2W Easter egg. For this one you want to go to Shem's Henge, and where the speed cola machine is, there should be a machine where you can interact with and put the empty canister, and then go down to the rock formations. You should see an abomination has spawned there. What you'll need to do is run behind these smaller stones, and when it fires its electric beam, you kind of want to duck behind them. As that beam hits those small rocks, they should start glowing blue. When the rocks are glowing blue, what you want to do is get the abomination to charge at them. You want to be careful not to kill it though, because then you have to go to the next round and try this all over again. As soon as it charges at the rocks though, you'll notice they start floating into the air, and you simply need to do that for each of those 3 rocks once they're glowing. At that point, you'll then notice it starts a lockdown and the abomination will disappear. At this point, you essentially need to defend that middle area, which you'll notice vermin start creeping up towards it. You've got a little bar in the corner of your screen there. You just need to be careful as you monitor that. After this, you should be able to go back to where you put the empty canister and find it now says it's an explosive canister. You want to take that to the workbench in the supply depot and you'll be able to craft the Mark II W. The final variant is the P. There's another Easter egg for this one. Of course, you'll need another empty canister. The final way to get an empty canister is on the left of the crafting table in the mainframe chamber. That's where that big Sam AI is. There'll be a massive container, and then just to the left of that, it should have a letter A or B written on the wall. Now, outside of the service tunnel, if you run towards there and then look left where the zombies climb through, there'll be several pipes there. One will be shooting out some toxic gas, and then you should see 2 valves just to the right of it. Using tomahawks, you want to hit the first valve, and after it turns a few seconds later, you should see toxic gas coming out of there. Now, you need to remember the letter that you saw to the left of the container, and there'll be a valve and a pipeline which is close to that letter. You want to aim your tomahawk to hit the valve, and if you get it right, that should also turn and start emitting gas. At this point, you can go back to the main chamber, and you'll notice it's filled up with gas. You then want to throw an explosive. I used a Semtex here, and it should burst and drop an empty canister. Now you can start the Easter egg for this variant. You need to get your hands on 2 refractors. You can find them in the fountain in the conservatory and the fountain in the southwest balcony. You just go up to the fountains and interact with them, and you should find it picks it up. After that, you now need to get an essence bomb. You find these in these white boxes, which can be found around the map. You just have to shoot them, and they'll either give you an essence bomb, or they'll give you some other stuff. Sometimes they can spawn a vermin, which you'll have to kill. Now, you'll find these in most of the named locations, so I can't really give you a map per se. Most of the locations have one, so as soon as you've shot one, just move on to a different named location. I actually had to run around 4 or 5 areas and shoot 4 or 5 different boxes before I finally got one that dropped the essence bomb. Once you've got the essence bomb, you then need to head back down below to where the service tunnel is and look just to the left of the level 3 armor. You should see some rubble there. If you interact with it, it will use the essence bomb to blow it away and open up a passage towards the Serpent's Mound. At that point, you want to place the refractors on these black poles around the area, and you've got the option of either putting your canister in before you do that or after. Once you put in the canister, you'll notice a blue beam shoots out. If you put the refractors on, it should also be reflecting off the reflectors. What you've got to do is very simply direct the blue beams to the Doppleghast statues you see dotted around, and there should be 3 of those statues. Now, I don't know if the melee sequence changes in terms of which order you need to do it. For me, what I did was I meleeed the first refractor after I placed both of them. I had to melee the main blue crystal again, and this brought to life the first Doppelghast for me. Once you've done that, obviously you've got to kill it. You don't actually get anything from it. You don't need to pick anything up just yet. After that, you'll need to kill the other 2 Doppelghast statues. Again, you'll need to get the blue beam on each one of them to bring them to life. Finally, I went back up to the little room, and I moved the refractor a couple of times by hitting it. I then went back down, meleeed the blue crystal, and this triggered the final boss Doppelghast. After killing him, it allowed me to go back to the light canister and pick it up. The location to craft this version is in the director's quarters, and you'll be able to finally get your last variant, which is the Mark II P. Now, it's worth noting once you get these variants, you can actually craft them at the different stations whenever you want, so you are able to switch between the variants. Hopefully this helps you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more guides coming soon, so you don't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.